Well, it's the end of the year, and here at British Stand, we thought we would reflect, and today have compiled the best of Starmer getting ruthlessly destroyed for his lies in 2024. These clips garnered millions of views this year, and we thought it would be fitting to revisit them. Before we get into our video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we do have t-shirts available on our website. We have stuck Farmer and Make Britain Great Again ones. Make sure you check the link in the description or go to britishstand.com. So our first clip, we have Starmer being called out and destroyed by interviewer Beth Rigby. This was gold. Have a watch of this.
Was to audit the books. What she found was a £22 billion black hole this year. Now, she had a choice, pretend it isn't there, walk past it, or deal with it.
Now, I just want to deal with it. I just want to stop you there. I just want to stop you there. On that 22 billion, I want everybody watching this to know and understand that nearly half of that 22 billion, £9 billion, comes from decisions that your government has made to give many public sector workers pay rises above inflation, including junior doctors getting 22% of an increase over 2 years. So again, when it comes to winter fuel allowance, that was a choice. It was a political decision for the reasons that you say you want to sort out the economy. But how can you justify it to viewers who feel like it is an attack on some people who've worked hard all their lives? They're not wealthy, they don't have money to spare. And this year, if it's cold, they're going to be looking at the thermostat and wondering if they can pay their bills.
Our second clip takes us to a call-in show where the Prime Minister receives calls from the British public, and it's safe to say they told him how it was. Have a watch.
I'd like to, first of all, start by asking, do you have a problem with Lincolnshire? Have the people of Lincolnshire upset you in any way? Because you seem to have upset an awful lot of people in the county since you were elected back in July.
No, I've got absolutely nothing against Lincoln. It's a fantastic county, an underappreciated county, huge, rural, beautiful, and I've been there a number of times.
Well, we have a very cold snap at the moment, Prime Minister, here in Lincolnshire, and a lot of people concerned about the winter fuel benefits as well. Let me just play this from Maxine, who was on the show earlier.
We just can't keep warm. People are going to die. Elderly people are literally going to die. How's he going to live with that? Is he going to have the courage to back down from a terrible decision?
She's wearing extra layers. She can't put the heating on this week, despite the cold weather, because of your decision to withdraw her winter fuel payment.
Well, every pensioner who's entitled to pension credit will
She's 63. She won't be pension age till 67, so she's not entitled to pension credit.
You're not for millions of hard-working farmers or owners of shops, pubs, bars, restaurants, small businesses. You're not for keeping millions of pensioners warm. So, Prime Minister, who are you for? We had a publican from our part of the world who told me from April of next year he's going to have to add 30p to the price of a pint. Was going to be £4.50. In April, it'll be £4.70 to £4.80. I'm no economist. That sounds like inflation to me.
Yes.
What have we got here? Kath, ask him why he's paying people not to work and punishing working people. That's from Mac. And we had someone here. No name on this one. Can you please ask Starmer how he can justify taking away my fuel allowance after working hard in a factory for 50 years? Pat in Hagley says, Keir Starmer, just as ever, answered nothing, just regurgitated normal, pathetic script. What else have we got? Oh, that was waffle, says Bob.
In at number 3, we head to PMQs, and Rishi Sunak mocks and roasts him over his lies.
Now, the last government also established a new system of registration and monitoring to protect the UK from interference from foreign states, including China, Russia and Iran. Called the Foreign Influence Registration Scheme, it was described as essential by MI5 in the fight to help keep Britain safe. But since the Prime Minister took office, he has halted its implementation. Why?
That isn't correct.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that is very clearly what the government has said. And only last week he said at the dispatch box that he would give the security forces the powers they need. And if he is going to fulfil that promise, I would urge him to get up to speed on this issue and therefore implement the scheme. Furthermore, Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee have warned that British universities are increasingly a rich feeding ground for China to exert political influence over us. That's why we passed the Freedom of Speech Act with new powers to help defend universities from this threat, but the new Education Secretary has since blocked it. So can the Prime Minister tell us how, without this tool, the government will prevent Chinese influence over our universities?
I really don't think party political points on security and intelligence. Honestly, throughout the last Parliament, we stood with the government on all questions of security and intelligence because it was important to the outside world that we did so. I worked with the security and intelligence services for 5 years prosecuting cases. I know firsthand the work that they do as a lawyer. I've known firsthand the work they do as the Prime Minister. We support them in everything that we do. And
Our fourth clip takes up back to the Commons, and again, he is savagely destroyed.
To misrepresent me to make his point. I don't need to misrepresent him to make my point. The truth is, he didn't think this through. Cutting winter fuel payments isn't just callous. It may not make savings. It could actually cost us all more. And that's not the only policy which is making things worse. The Chancellor's budget is a body blow to family businesses and also charities. Marie Curie have warned that Labour's budget will cost them nearly £3 million a year. This is a cancer charity saying they have no option but to reduce services. Did the Chancellor tell the Prime Minister that her jobs tax was going to hit charities?
Mr. Speaker, she's asked 3 questions about winter fuel with her leaving out. I'll come to that. But she's changed her mind on this. She used to say that the payments were a dead weight. She said there are members of her constituency who didn't need it. And they all stood in 2017 on a manifesto, a Tory manifesto, that committed to getting rid of the universal winter payments for pensioners. So we can see what their real commitment is. As for the budget, we're driving up productivity.
I don't want to have to ring your mother. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we're driving up productivity, prosperity and living standards. That's a pay rise for the 3 million who are the lowest paid. They should welcome that. A pay rise for those working in the NHS and better than expected wage growth just before Christmas. What unites all three? Delivered by Labour, opposed by the Tories.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know what world he's living in. The economy is shrinking, and they did not think this jobs tax through or who it would impact. Another area affected is the hospice sector. Hospices believe the budget will cost them an extra £30 million. Yesterday, Conservatives voted to exempt social care, nurseries, charities and hospices from their jobs tax. Labour voted this down. So can the Prime Minister at least agree to fund hospices so they can continue their invaluable work helping people at the end of their lives?
Mr. Speaker, we put a record amount into the NHS in the budget to deal with the problem that they left, and we'll set out the funding arrangements for hospices in the new year. But it's the same old, same old. They want all the benefits. She said to herself she wants all the benefits from the budget, but she doesn't want to pay for any of them. That's what got us into the problem in the first place.
Mr. Speaker, I did not hear a commitment there to help hospices, which is a shame. The truth is, this winter, people will be suffering because of his choices. The economy is shrinking, inflation is going up, and jobs are being lost because of his budget. Pensioners won't be able to heat their homes because of his government's decisions. They raise people's hopes but then smash them with broken promises. And now we learn that he is about to give away our hard-won Brexit freedoms. Yeah. Mr. Speaker. All right. Mr. Speaker, now we learn he is about to give away our hard-won Brexit freedoms. The truth is, they are punching the British people in the face, literally in the case of one of his MPs, and he will pretend that this is about the past. But we all know these are his choices, bad choices. If he's looking for a New Year's resolution, why doesn't he start with telling the truth?
I'll do it now. £22 billion black hole left by that. Record numbers on the waiting list.
It's not a good time to leave the chamber, is it? Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, £22 billion black hole. Record waiting list with our NHS. They should hang their heads in shame. Immigration completely out of control. Nearly 1 million net migration. She was the cheerleader for all of that. She wants the truth. That's the truth. That's why they're sitting there. Mr. Speaker, whilst they cart from the sidelines, talking the country down, this government is getting on with the job. Record funding for the NHS. Money for our trains, buses, and yes, Mr. Speaker, potholes. Pay rises for 3 million of the lowest paid. Wages growing faster than inflation. Planning laws reform. Great British Energy set up. We're only getting started. Next year we'll continue to rebuild, no matter what the blockers opposite say.
Lastly, it's at the liaison committee, where he is stuttering and squirming after being grilled.
At a particular group.
You don't think you're comfortable with the super rich sheltering their wealth by buying land?
Well, what we tried to do was get the balance right and to protect the family farm. You know, look, what the very wealthy do with their money within the rules is a matter for them. But what we wanted to do was to raise the revenue necessary because, you know, we had to not only balance the books in the budget, we had to make important investments in things like health services in schools. That meant we had to raise revenue, and that's why we did this amongst other measures. But at the same time, we wanted to put in thresholds that ensures in the average case, the vast majority of farms, family farms, could be passed on without being affected by the inheritance tax. That was the scheme and the purpose of it.
So how many family farms do you think are going to be caught by this?
Well, we've been through the figures on this, and just to wrap it through.
I can help you here. HMRC say that there were about 500 claims for agricultural property relief.
Yeah. So
is that a robust figure for those who will be caught?
That is a robust figure. It's published by the Treasury, certified by the OBR. Currently, as I think you know, 73% of APR claims are less than £1 million, and 40% of APR goes to the 7% wealthiest claimants, and therefore I'm confident that this gets the balance right between raising the revenue that we needed to, but also protecting most of the estates.
The changes apply not just to agricultural property relief, they also apply to business property relief, do they not?
Yes.
Now, in practice, the figure that you've given us, 500 estates there, does not include estates where the land would have been passed on using business property relief, does it?
Well, I think that it does. I'll certainly go away.
No, I can assure you that it doesn't.
Well, the figure of 73% of APR claims are less than £1 million is a figure both from the Treasury and certified by the OBR. And I'm confident
as those who have had agricultural property relief. You can certainly come back to it.
Yeah.
If you are satisfied, Prime Minister, that 500 figure is not as robust as it may appear, and a lot of people have changed their mind on that in recent weeks, would you persuade the Chancellor to meet with the farming unions, because she has refused to do that thus far?
Well, I met, as you probably know, with the NFU President just a few weeks ago. Met actually previously on a number of occasions with his predecessor, and there's no issue with meeting. Of course there isn't.
Well, but for the Chancellor of the Exchequer?
Well, that'll be a matter for her, but there's no in principle. I mean, I myself met the President of the NFU, and I think that...
Is it an example that you will be encouraging the Chancellor to follow?
Well, the Chancellor will manage her own diary, but I mean, I took the view...
Well, I mean, we're laughing here, but, you know, we had one witness giving evidence to the Select Committee who, when talking about the impact on his farming business, broke down.
Yep.
So there are a lot of people who don't find this funny. How does it make you feel to hear that witnesses were breaking down before my Select Committee?
Well, of course nobody's comfortable with that, but that is why I took the decision to have a meeting with the President of the NFU, to invite him in for a meeting with me, not with a great fanfare, but just for a private meeting so that I could hear for myself first-hand from him as to the points that he wanted to make understandably.
With a view to making changes?
I'm sorry?
With a view to making changes?
Well, no, we've got the policy. We've set out the policy, and I was clear about that, but did I want to hear what he had to say in a respectful way? Yes, of course I did.
We hope you enjoyed this video. And to be honest, it could have been hours long due to the amount of times he's been roasted and exposed for lying. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more, as I have. Feeling 2025 is going to be bigger than ever.